What up, guys? I think we are live. I'm feeling that we are live. We are having some technical issues at times, but today I don't think that will be the case. Why? Well, because I see a green light and I just feel it today. It is Friday and it's time for the weekly live evaluation. I was actually doubting myself to go live on this one. I was planning out, I was recording a whole lot of videos just to do like an edited video on this one, but then I thought, what the heck, I need the connection, I want the excitement to not knowing how the heck it's gonna end up. So I threw that all to the side and I went for the live stream. And here I am. Still haven't checked if I'm up and running or not. Let's see if I can refresh this page and hear myself. Oh, you bastard. No, what? Yeah, screen. And hear myself. Oh yeah, never been happier to hear my voice. Well, that's not true, but what the heck. So let's throw ourselves into this. It's Friday, as I've already said. I don't have my tea, as I sometimes tend to. Instead, I have a apple cider vinegar with some lemon and raspberries in it. I think this will last me through this live stream. I shouldn't be drinking too much when I mean I need to focus. I need to focus. So let's get to it. This stream is gonna be about Tony Robbins' 6 human needs. That is what has been applied throughout this week. That is what the challenge has been. Try to look through the lens of this framework, which I will go through in a brief moment. But I have looked through my days, my activities, and seen how I meet these 6 human needs that Tony Robbins claimed that we have. And by doing so, I can evaluate what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing good, and try to design and tweak my activities, my days, so I can have like these amazing days all the time. That was the idea, that was what I set out to do when I threw myself into this challenge. Sorry for messing up the camera. And that is what I've been doing. And the result has really paid off. Truly. I feel excited to share these insights, and that's what I will be doing. I am gonna go through some of the theory, and I need to use Tony's material, so I'm gonna be reading just a little bit, not too much. I know that can be boring, but I just think we need to hit some points. Sorry, I got a microwave that starts itself automatically at times, and it sounds weird from the kitchen, but I'm realizing I'm doing sweet potatoes in back there. That's what's making these weird noises. Anyways, let's get into it. So, Tony Robbins' 6 human needs. That I went through that in quite big detail in the introductionary video, which I posted this Sunday. But I'm gonna go through it again. But I'm also gonna hit on some points that I didn't address in that video, which I think is important to understand, because the theory here, it's like, oh, why do I have to have this theory? But when we have insight in how we can look at our life, when we understand what's important and not important, that means we can focus. We see things that we not else will think about, and we can hone in on those things that are important to us, that really adds value. So if we not first get well, what do you say? If we not first grasp the theory, if we don't understand what it is we're trying to do, then We don't have the tools to do it. And the thing is, the better we know how this works, the more autonomous it will become. And by that, more easily we will have these great days, these great the activities we do throughout our days, they will be a better experience because we tweak and design them so they will fit us better. I think I've over-explained it. So the 6 human needs, and it's what drives all our behavior, Tony Robbins says. And let me just first go through them. First off, we have certainty, and then we have uncertainty. These two work in pair. If we have too much certainty in our lives, life just gets boring. And if we, on the other hand, have too much uncertainty, then it's like, whoa, will I even have food on my plate today? Will I be able to sleep without being cold? I mean, it's a balance between having too much certainty, too much of a boring life, in contrast to the too much risk factors. We have to weigh them. We have to balance them. And then we have the third one, significance. It's the need to feel unique, important, that people care for me. To some sense, it's a very strong driving force within. And then we have connection, love. That's where the social part come in. Being able to just connect with people, it gives us so much. It's something that has been quite a big focus of this entire channel lately, and which also has made me realize the importance of it. And like now, if I feel down, I go out and just talk to random people just to get my mood up. That's to the extent I see it as medicine these days. That's not the approach I had earlier. And then we have growth, the fifth, that's number 4, the 5th human need. That means that we have a need to just develop, constantly grow, and leave the old us behind so we can use the experience we go through to make us become a better person. It's super important. Super duper important. And then we have a contribution, a bigger sense of adding value to the world, one might say. Just having that sense of what I'm doing here at this planet, it's benefiting someone else. I mean, it doesn't have to be like this big thing. It could just be helping your neighbor out with her trashes, which I do at times, and it just gives me so much. So those are the 6 human needs, and the idea is that I will go through this week. No, that's not true, but I'm gonna take some examples and compare it from days when it really has sucked for me, and then compare it to days when it really has been awesome, which has been the case for like this week at times, and the week before that, last week, it was a suffer week, which was like just awful. So I will compare the different activities and through this framework and see why that sucked and why it was so good this time. And by that we apply it in daily activities. We understand how we can use this ourselves, because if we try to think about it, the more we do it, the more we break down our activities, we get a greater understanding for what actually gives you or me value. You see, even though we have these 6 human needs, you and me work differently. I, for one, am a person that values uncertainty tremendously much. I'm not much for having this secure job with an income, fixed work hours, certain in that sense. I mean, I've been dreading away for even signing any kind of contract extending for longer than 6 months. It's like it has never happened, and it's something that makes me thrive. It makes me be on my edge, not knowing what's going to happen next. On the other hand, I had this discussion with a colleague of mine a couple of weeks ago, and he was on the total different side of the spectra. He needed that security. He thrived on just knowing that, yeah, this is my life. I have these routines, and just the bigger part of it lined out for him. And well, it's a balance, as I've said, but for some people we want more of the other part. For me, I'm the uncertainty guy. Risk, reward. So starting off here, I just want to explain that when we talk about these needs, we can also divide them into different experiences. When we have an activity, it can be classified as a class 1, class 2, class 3, or class 4 experience. Now, when I say it can be classified, this is just a framework that Tony Robbins has put out. This is not by any means the one and only truth. It's so subjective. But if we believe in it, and if we find a useful way of applying it, then hey, why not use it? I've applied it and it works great for me, so why not use it? Even though it may not be perfect or true to that, the one and only truth. I'm not saying that. Anyways, 4 classes of experiences. First off, we got class 1, and that's an experience that we when I say we now, and I mean Tony, call a peak life experience. It feels good, it is good for you, it is good for others, and it serves the greater good. A little example of this could be helping a person out. For instance, just holding an old lady in her hand, walking her across the street. It feels good for you because you're doing something good, and it is good for you because it's perhaps something. Maybe you're a shy person and you're doing something that you find a bit hard to do, to approach a person and just ask if you want to help her out. So you're building your self-esteem and self-confidence here. It is of course good for others in the sense of the lady you're helping, and it serves the greater good. It helps build a better planet. Perhaps people around you see you when you're doing this and get inspired to do an activity of similar sort in another context. Hence, you have just added something to make the world a better place. So that's the class 1 experience. And then we have a class 2 experience. This does not feel good for you, but it is good for you, it is good for others, and it serves the greater good. So the only difference from a class 1 experience is, number 1, that it doesn't feel good for you. However, these class 2 experiences are usually the activities, the experiences that has the greatest impact on us. It has the greatest, brings the greatest joy. And a very, what do you say, an example that lies close by heart to me is when we can take the meditation example. When I started meditating, it didn't feel good at all. I hated it. Oh man, did I hate meditating. I couldn't stand just sitting in silence with myself, my own thoughts, doing nothing. I started meditating like 3 years ago, and it was dreadful. It's like, oh, pain. Man, was that a pain. But it was good for me. I didn't realize it at first, but it really was good for me. And was it good for others? Well, yes, because it made me become a better person, more relaxed and calm, which spread to the world, which also serves the greater good, because I can make a better impact at the world, but also I can help others start meditating. It can serve the greater good in that sense, helping people get calmer, relaxed, and just by me talking about this here, to some sense serves a greater good. And a thing that Tony emphasized when we talk about these class 2 experiences is that these are the ones that can be turned into a class 1 experience, which has been the case for me with this meditation. I used to dread it, but now I love it. It gives me tons of value, and I enjoy the actual process in itself. Hence, this original class 2 experience has turned into a class 1 experience. That's what we want. That's what we want to do with all kinds of experiences. Moving on, we have a class 3 experience. This is something that feels good. It is not good for you. It is not good for others, and it does not serve the greater good. What can this be? Well, for instance, yeah, here we got alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, those kinds of things. It for sure feels good. Often, not always. No, not always. But it really isn't good for you, health-wise at least. And it's not good for others if it gets to a certain point where it's destructive, or if it's just that you get too drunk and mess up other people's evenings or whatever. And it really doesn't serve the greater good. And then we have the class 4 experience, that it doesn't even feel good for you, it does nothing good for you, it does nothing good for others, and it does not serve the greater good. This could, for instance, be when you're smoking for the first time, or you're drinking so much that you feel ill, like you just want to puke. Smoking for the first time, you want to puke too. So you see how this class 4 experience has nothing of value, but then perhaps social pressure pushes you to do this, or it's just some twisted thing within telling you, I have to do this. For instance, when I've been overeating, I just continue to eat because I can't stop. It's just my brain wants something good, but at a certain point it doesn't even taste good. It's just anxiety filled all over the place. So that's the 4 different classes of experiences we have. And by that, I need to take a sip of my drink. Tasty. So let's move on and talk about the 6 human needs applied at some experiences from my last days and last weeks, actually. And I'm gonna go through it, divide it up to I'm gonna divide it into morning, work, and evening. And I'm gonna give one example in each of these time periods, or activities is a better word for it. And by doing so, I will shed light on both a good example and a bad example, looking through the lens of the 6 human needs. Okay, you ready for this? So, morning routine. Yeah, that's a thing, and that's a beautiful thing. Morning routine starting off with a bad example. And I have to go way back for my bad examples of the really bad morning routines, because I have so good habits implemented now, so I'm so autonomous. I could still be asleep and I would still have a good morning, because it's deeply rooted within to do these good things. But I will get to that in the good example. First, the bad example. Waking up, okay, looking through at starting out with certainty, comfort, waking up and not having any structure, which I have now, just being totally unplanned, and going into your phone the first thing you do, it lacks certainty because you're unstructured. So it's to some sense very all over the place. You don't have any plan for how to go about the day, and it makes you just so reactive. Now, reactive means more uncertainty and variety perhaps, but when it comes to a morning routine, it's perhaps not as good to have this much of uncertainty. As I said, I'm the kind of guy that really thrives in uncertain environments, and when it's not too much clear. But when it comes down to my morning routines, it's not a place or time to be in that kind of state. It should be rigid. It should be this fundamental piece that primes you for the day that lies ahead. So when like I used to do back in the days, I just started up the day, I checked my phone, checked social media, and perhaps went to the computer, just scrolled through some websites, perhaps YouTube. Didn't really do anything of value, and to some extent, sure, that is comforting because you're just relying on external sources to entertain you, but it's not the time or place to do that. Looking at uncertainty, variety, yeah, here you do hit some high points on this scale. But as Tony say, we have these 6 human needs, and if you hit high on one of these pillars, but 0 or very low on the others, it's still a very shitty activity, because one need cannot stand on its own. If one need is overtaking all the others, it's a bad payoff. It's really, really a bad payoff. We need to have high scores on, or at least high average on each of them to have as good as an experience as possible. And it's easier if I just compare straight away to the good example. So when it comes to certainty in the good example, like my morning yesterday, I woke up, I made my bed, I drank water, I put on my training clothes, and I went for a run. I always run to work or bike to work, and I listened to this audio thing. It's 15 minutes long, and it primes me for the day. It goes through some gratitude practices, some visualization, and some incantations, and it just gets me so in the mood. It is, you see, it's high on these certainty scores because it's very scheduled out. And after that, I meditate on the train, and I hit the gym straight after that, and just a specific order of specific activities that I do, which just is super comforting. I can be asleep and I would still do them, as I said, but they really prime me, and it's super good. So it's a 10 in certainty here, and it's 10 in a way that makes me be awesome throughout the rest of the day. But when it comes to uncertainty, I can put in a level of uncertainty to it by changing up my workout routine. This I did this morning. I thought that, yeah, I need some variety in my workout, so I just took a video, looking through this training video as I went through the workout, not knowing what was lying ahead. So this exercise, then I didn't know what was going to come next, but that sense of variety was adding something to my morning routine, which still on the overall picture was the same. So that's it's a morning routine that hits high on the certainty comfort. I can make it hit high on the uncertainty variety to a certain degree, but enough, not totally uncertain. That I don't want in this case. And when it comes to significance, if it makes me feel special, yes, it does, because it's when I read so much about morning routines, how these good habits make people successful. Always when you look at like, oh, the key things that the most successful people do, they have this tremendously thought through morning routines. And so when I do this morning routine, it makes me feel significant, because it's like one little action. I start off the day with these actions that are good for me. It primes me to be great for the rest of the day, and that just makes me feel unique. It makes me feel significant, because I know most of the people don't do that. On the other hand, the shitty example, just being reactive, watching YouTube videos, and just straight going to work, or addressing other people's emails, like other people's issues. That's what email basically is. It's other people's issues coming to you. So when you're in that reactive state, no, I'd say you don't feel that significant. At least I didn't when I used to have those kinds of mornings. And when it comes to connection, love, the good example, I so deeply connect with myself when I meditate, when I do these visualization practices, the gratitude I feel in the morning routine practices I do, it just makes me feel connected to myself, but also to the people I think about when I'm so grateful for living with my brother. And it also makes me feel loved to the people around me, because I think about them, and I think about how grateful I am for having them. And also I do these self-love appreciations, like I love myself. I really do. And see, that adds to the whole connection and love part. So I hit high scores on that as well with my morning routine. Back in the days, nothing like that whatsoever. No connection, no love to anything, because I didn't think or do these things, and there was nothing there making me connect. Perhaps writing some comment on a Facebook post or whatever, for sure that may have added some some connection to some person, but it was random, and it really wasn't to that extent, and it did not have the effect that this thing has. And then when it comes to growth, which is the need number 5, I feel a ton of growth going through my morning routine. Mentally, physically, with my training, it's key for my growth. If I wouldn't do my morning routines, the rest of the growth that happens throughout the day, it wouldn't happen. So it's a 9 on the growth scale every morning with my routines. And then with the contribution, how do I contribute with my good morning routines? Well, I talk about it now. I share it with people. People at work, they see me come in newly trained every morning, and I know I have inspired a lot of people at work, at least, to get more thoughtful about their training and health and such. So I for sure feel that I'm contributing with my morning routine, which I did not used to do with my shitty way of starting the day off. Zero of that back in the days. So that's the good and the bad example for the morning, looking at my own life and the activities I do, and through the lens of these 6 human needs, the way I'm approaching my mornings right now is just tremendously more valuable to me. And this is just a proof. I don't need the 6 human needs to evaluate my mornings, because I feel they are good. However, if I want to nitpick and go into the details, I can look on how to improve them. Maybe like the workout thing. If I want more variety and uncertainty in my morning, I can make sure to change up my workout a bit more often to not make it feel that boring. Or my breakfast after the workout, that could perhaps be changed or tweaked to add some variety to this whole routine. So that's the first analysis of this framework. That's what it is. Let's have a sip of my Alex special drink. And I'm feeling that you understand the concept, so perhaps I'm not going to go through it as much in detail as I've planned. I've already been at it for 32 minutes, I can see, and it's not going to be an hour-long stream about me breaking down my life. That's just overdoing it. I do have a Tinder thing going. It's actually not on this phone. I don't know why I picked up that one. It's this phone I'm streaming from. This is just Curiosa on the side. But in alignment with adding some variety to my life, also some connection with some girls, I'm Tindering right now to see if maybe I could go on a date tonight. We'll see. I'm still not totally off for that idea, but it does add a whole lot of excitement to my evening. But let's continue. I'm gonna do a short breakdown on one of my work days. A good example from last week and a good example from Wednesday. Because I actually had a sub-objective this week to design a perfect day. Could I do that? Could I be able to, with this framework, see how a perfect day could be reached? And the thing is, I've nearly done it. Wednesday was a great day, but it was during this morning and work part. Then I crashed at the evening, so it didn't went all in on the perfect day, but it was so close and just tremendously awesome work day, which I will tell you about right now. In contrast to last week, when I had the suffer week and I wasn't allowed to do shit, I wasn't allowed to eat any good food, not have any fruits, sweets, or anything, not drink any tea, not listen to any music, podcast, audio, nothing. I took it all away and I just suffered. Why I did that? Well, it's part of Stoicism, and you can look it up in last week's videos. The suffer week, check that out. So let's break it down. Last week, for instance, Thursday at work, or the entire week, I had so boring work tasks. Just scrolling down my notes here so I can remember what I wrote down. I had issues with too much certainty at work last week. There were no excitement in what I was supposed to do. It was not challenging, and it was like mundane, boring, shitty work, which just drained me from energy due to the lack of commitment to the actual work tasks. If you look at connection at this point, last week, it was zero connection to work. I felt so unconnected to what I was doing because it gave me nothing. It gave me nothing in comparison to this perfect Wednesday when I had also high level of comfort and certainty, but it was comfort and certainty in my ability to perform and do things that I felt capable of, because I was in such a good mood, and that made me connect deeply with the task. It made me feel excited and on my toes to do my very best because I had exciting work tasks. I was supposed to construct and innovate this new thing that hadn't been done before, in comparison to last week when I was just supposed to mechanically just do the same 3D model over and over again. So the uncertainty and variety last week was 0. The uncertainty and variety this week has been like 10. 10. It's all over the place. And even more so, last week when I wasn't able to listen to any music or anything when I was working, that made the variety even less. This week I've been listening to a whole lot of new different music, and that also added a whole lot of variety. You see how this is multi-dimensional, and this also added to the significant part. Last week did shitty work, didn't feel like it mattered to anyone. Why the heck am I even sitting? Why am I working? Why the heck am I working? This week is like, oh yeah, this could solve a problem. People here at the company are depending on me actually figuring this out. Made me feel important, unique, and that people was dependent on me. I felt good, so good. So I aced significant this Thursday as well. And also on the significant part, I had a lot of great, connecting moments, also connection here. I pushed myself to go talk to a lot of people I hadn't talked with in a while, also new persons. So it made me connect a whole lot with people on a new level, which also made me feel significant because I led the conversations we had into being about them, because that's an area I like to address when I talk with new people, what their dreams and passions are and how I can kind of motivate them to go after them. So many levels. I hit high on significant because I thought that I added value to them in the conversations, also in what I was doing in the work tasks. I hit high on the connection love part because I was socializing on a deep level with a lot of people, but also I connected so much with myself in the work task because I was so excited and in the moment with what I was doing, and the music for sure helped me out to access this connecting state. Comparison to last week when I wasn't able to connect at all because I was so not into what I was doing. I didn't have any music to help me get into any kind of flow state, so it was just low score and all of those things. Here this week, this perfect Wednesday, boom, high on the connection love part. And if we address the growth part, last week, nothing whatsoever grew me, except for realizing that I had a job I didn't really care for that much. That was a big jump on the growth scale. But this week, I felt like I grew socially with my conversations. I grew in my skills, in my work, in what I was doing. And overall, I just got so much deep understanding from applying this framework, which made me grow even more. And when you look at the contribution part, I felt like I contributed with advising people, and I didn't do that last week, and also contributed for what I accomplished at work. So that is a breakdown of 2 days, and it's easier when you sit down and you write down how you can do these things. And it's when you have a specific task and you have written down in these different 6 human needs: certainty, uncertainty, significance, connection, growth, and contribution. You can write down how you can break down an activity and write out how you feel about this on the different levels, and then you can see how you can add or withdraw things to make it score higher. For instance, like I said, with the connection part in my work, I wasn't able to connect, so it scored low. But when I added music to that, that's a little tool you can throw in here to raise the score on that need, to make you connect better. If I have nice electronic music when I'm working, and a good piece of beverage or a cup of tea with some ginger under my lip helps me focus, that can bring a task up down from 3 up to like 8, just because that just makes me enjoy what I'm doing so much. So you see, using this framework, sitting down, writing it out, thinking about how to structure and tweak and redesign things, it can make you appreciate an activity so much more, but above all, it can make you actually enjoy an activity. Doing something boring as laundry could actually be quite entertaining if you're using it as an opportunity to listen to an exciting audiobook or perhaps some personal development material, which also makes you grow, makes you connect more, makes you grow more. And then that's just in the context of doing laundry. So the beauty of this framework is how easy it is to look at what you're doing and how you can improve the experience of what you're doing. And if we look at our entire life, our entire days through these classes, and not doing it all at the same time, but one thing at the time, one day at a time, iterating on our activities. I mean, we basically do the same things over and over again, but in different contexts. And if we start doing small changes, adding routines, habits that benefit us, then we can actually strive to have these perfect days every day. And that is what this framework has helped me do this week. Because in general, if you just want to score last week with this week, it's like -3. And here we got like 120. I don't know what kind of scale I'm using here, but the contrast is tremendous. Boring, shitty life, tremendously awesome, great life. This week has been freaking great, and I attribute a lot of that to this framework, Tony Robbins, 6 human needs, and I just love it. I will be I will find a way to have this in my daily routine. I do a lot of journaling and notes in my OneNote, and I will put this framework in there to some sense. I haven't worked out the details exactly, but I want it to be easy to just evaluate what I'm doing and to continuously improve on my life, because I've realized, I more and more realize for every week that I go through these weekly challenges, improving myself, that it's not about tomorrow, it's not about yesterday, it's about today, it's about this freaking day. I need to live and enjoy living today. That's when life happens. And I realized that I peak at feeling good more and more often, and I love that improvement. This Wednesday I had a moment where I just paused and I thought to myself, man, this is life, this is freaking awesome, this is how I want to feel every day, because then it's how it's supposed to be, and I want it to be as it's supposed to be, a great life. So I think that's gonna close this chapter down. Not forever, as I've said. I'm gonna continue to use it, but for now, for this week's challenge, it is over. It is finito. I hope you enjoyed it. Love to hear your take on it. And as I've said, it is a subjective approach. So even if you may think it's shitty, it may be useful to some people. It has been useful to me, for sure. It may not suit you, I don't know. Leave a comment if you have an opinion. Otherwise, don't. Just like my video, because that would mean a lot to me. My name is Alexander Nilsson. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being you. And don't forget to stop by on Sunday or hit the bell icon so you will actually get a notification when I post the next video. But on Sunday I will be posting next week's challenge, and I'm not sure what it's gonna be about yet, but it is gonna benefit me in some way or shape or form, because that is why I do my weekly challenges. So my name is Alexander Nilsson. Thank you for watching, thank you for being you. See you Sunday. Bye guys. Raspberries do have a tendency to get stuck in the straws. Just a warning.